My name is Rene, and I'm going to be talking about how I began to journey through my relationship with God towards a deeper connection. I started really seeking God more deeply in my 30s. I started realizing that I wasn't connecting with him like I wanted to, but I couldn't figure out what was missing. I was going to church, I was praying, I was in Bible studies, I was doing all the things that I felt like I should be doing, but I knew there was a gap, and I couldn't figure out where that gap was coming from. So I started, just really praying and asking God to reveal it to me. And God's never in a big hurry. So these pieces came to me slowly. But what I started realizing was that even though I had all these things in my life, I had church, I had people, I had Bible study, I didn't have that relationship with God as if we were close friends. And so I began to try to figure out how to do that. And through a lot of prayer, I started realizing that I needed to have a personal time with God. And I certainly prayed and I certainly read the Bible, but I didn't have me time with God.
We were owls when they came in the night. They were looking for a creature to fight. I can see it that you're ready to go, like a bat in the cave of my soul.
And so that's what I started trying to figure out how to do. And I began realizing that what I needed to do was have more consistency in what I was doing, that I spent time with my children, I spent time with my husband every day. And that relationship with God was going to be built with time spent with him every day. But I was giving him the end of my day. And I was realizing at the end of the day, that's the worst part of my day. I'm exhausted, I'm cranky, and I just didn't have enough energy to put into it. And that wasn't what God wanted anyway. He didn't want my very last. He wanted my very best. So I began to realize that I needed to start doing this in the morning. But the problem was that I wasn't a morning person, and I've never been a morning person. So, and I had been praying off and on through the years to be a morning person. Well, in 2009, January of 2009, God literally answered that prayer for me. I began waking up at what I would have considered an ungodly time, normally with feeling great. At 6:30 in the morning, my eyes would pop open, I'd get up. So I started praying and I started reading my word every morning. I would get up, I would get my coffee, and I would go sit, and I'm not, I didn't read for hours and hours. I sometimes only read one chapter in the Bible, but I put everything into that chapter. I spent the whole time reading that chapter and trying to figure out what God was saying to me through that chapter. And then I sometimes had a hard time concentrating through just prayer in my head, so I began journaling my prayers, and that helped me focus. And I've been doing that now consistently for 2 years, and the connection that I'm seeing has opened up everything for me. Before I was unbalanced, I certainly had faith, but when the wind would blow, that faith would be rocked. And now with this consistency of spending time with God every day, I feel that I'm more solid and I'm standing my ground and I'm not rocked as easily.